The view and everything is fantastic. I love the way the house settles into the landscape. We've been down on the Lianganook track and round on the roads surrounding, and it doesn't stand out too much on top of the hill because of the trees surrounding it, so that's been really great.
I just love that I can't really see my neighbours. I mean, I can, but they're a long way away, so they're far enough away to not have to think about them. And it's great having a block that we can sort of come back to the country, because I grew up in the country and so did Liza. So it's nice to be able to come back here and hopefully revegetate it a bit, make it a bit nicer.
Excellent. So how many acres do you have?
26 acres. And the plan is to revegetate it as much as we can. We've sort of got pockets of vegetation, and the neighbours do as well, so we've done a little bit of planting this year and joined two of them together, so we'll hopefully keep doing that. I guess I did a lot of online research, looked into companies that I knew had done off-grid, which passive builders have done off-grid before, so that was a big plus for them, and looked into whether to go the architect route or how to do it, and because passive builders have a designer as part of their team, that was sort of a big plus for us. The insulation in the ceiling is R6, and the exterior walls are R4, and I believe the interior are R2.
So on a day like today when it's sunny, it's 9.5 degrees in my car on the way out, have you got heating on inside?
We've had the fireplace going overnight, but we're letting that die down. The lounge area, the living area, is on a sunny day in winter is really nice and warm and beautiful. So yeah, we don't have to run much heating on a sunny day. On a overcast day, we'd probably have either the fireplace or the split system running, depending on how much solar battery we've got.
The house is directly built on the compass
Yep.
directions.
Okay. Excellent. So what sort of windows have you got that are holding all this heat in?
So they're double glazed. I believe they have the E coating, yeah, and the UPVC frames. So yeah, these north-facing windows just bring in a heap of heat and sun, and the east ones in the morning in winter. We've got external blinds on the east. So in summer, well, that'll be really important. We've only been here since March, so we haven't seen the full summer, but definitely when we were first here, we had them down in the mornings.
So how much solar have you got?
Yep. So we started with 13 kilowatts
panels.
of panels,
Yep.
And 21 kilowatt hours of battery. And we've just upgraded that in the last week to now we've got 18 kilowatts of panels and 29 kilowatt hours of batteries. So previously we were running the fireplace more than we wanted to, and we're also switching off the hot water system overnight. So we're hoping now we won't have to use the fireplace as much, because obviously environmentally that's not as ideal, and we might be able to be less cautious with the hot water as well. We've got two split systems, one in each end of the house. Yeah.
Are they Dakin or what?
Dakin split systems. Yep.
I think if you're on grid, what we've got would be very good, but it's got no programmability at all. So it'll turn on whenever it wants to during the night and that sort of stuff when you're running on batteries. And if you haven't got a lot of batteries, it's drawing at roughly 1 kilowatt hour continually for a couple of hours. It'll drain a fair bit of your batteries. And one of the big problems we've got with this is that it'll do a cycle where it'll sort of superheat the water for, I guess, some sort of water safety issue every week instead of the legal requirement of every month. So once a week it was basically draining our battery overnight completely. So we had to start turning it off overnight at that point. So yeah, if you're going off grid, pay a bit of attention to your water heater. There are some out there that do let you program when it'll turn on and all kinds of extra features. So if we've got a day where it's super sunny and our batteries are full, it would be nice if we could get the water heater to turn on its internal element or something like that to heat the water up even more. So, but that's not a possibility with what we've got. Ours is just basically it's on or it's off.
We've got the septic system. In terms of other waste, I'd like to set up eventually a whole waste system of really good recycling and composting and things, but we haven't got to that sort of point yet. Kids, we're up early, so we see the sun coming up and we're still not generating any power, so having the eastern panels gives us several more hours of generation. And talking to the solar company, that seems to be the way people are going now. Is it used to be all north facing, but now having east and west, you're generating for longer and like a lower grade over the whole day rather than a peak in the middle of the day.
You're also generating it when you're using it as well. So, you get up and you cook breakfast, you have your shower, all that sort of stuff that uses a bit of energy, and then in the evening you do the same thing. So if you're generating when you're using it, that's even better.
They'll get it from 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 or 6 and even 7 o'clock in the afternoon in summer. So it'll pick it up right through the whole day. They're self-managed Australian product called Power Plus, which have become very popular. Self-managed means that they don't have a battery management system that's attached to the inverter to control them. They work like a lead-acid battery and maintain themselves.
3 bedrooms and a study, and 2 bathrooms and 1 living area.
Okay, and you've got a polished concrete floor, so are you happy with that? And that's insulated under that, I presume?
Yeah, it's a waffle slab, I believe. But yeah, it's great when the sun hits it. It definitely warms up down here. Probably in the upstairs wing, it's generally colder all the time, but that's not too much of an issue. So yeah, I'm happy. I love the look of it, and I love the warmth. And
Does it get windy up here? Yes, it does. And we had to have our wind rating higher, which meant they had to reinforce this part of the building for the wind rating. Yeah. So I think it's N3 or something, wasn't it? I'm not sure what that compares to normally, but
yeah, there's extra steel in the structure for the wind rating. So.
And it does get very windy, but I couldn't tell you quite how much yet. I'm going to put up a weather station soon, and we'll be able to see how high it gusts.
Bell 12.5, so not particularly high. We're aware that we might strike rock and have big extra costs, but luckily all the digging they did was pretty much fine.
Except for the sewage system. They couldn't
right.
quite dig deep enough, and they were like, okay, we can try and smash it out. That'll be expensive. We could move the hole and probably find more rock, or we could just leave it as it is and pile some dirt up around it. So we went for that option.
And they did end up lifting the house and building it out of the ground a bit more than planned, rather than risk hitting rock digging in more. Also got the diesel generator, which with the previous level of solar we were running a bit more than we had planned, and also with that big cold snap, which I understand everyone was running their generators at that point. Well, I'm from Kerrang, north of Bendigo, and Todd's grown up in Bendigo, so just always thought it was a beautiful area, and it's been great. I've got involved in the land care group, so that's been a great way to meet people, and yeah, it's really, really nice. When we first moved out here, we've got a whole range of weeds on this property, so that's sort of our first goal, is to tackle a lot of them, blackberries and Patterson's curse and everything. So we sort of went looking for the local land care group with weed control in mind, and I ended up on the committee, so it's been a great way to learn a whole lot of stuff about weed control, but also what you should be planting to revegetate. So we've got some great local knowledge on not just native plants, but actually indigenous plants to the area. So we've got a list of exactly what we should be planting here. So hopefully we can revegetate, and we've already got quite a bit of wildlife, but hopefully more wildlife around. We've seen echidnas here. We know that there's wombats in the area. We haven't seen them yet. So yeah, hopefully we can bring it all back from the sheep paddock that it once was. I found the land here just browsing before we were really ready to start looking for land. Just sat on it for 3 years, camped out here a little bit. We started the design process with Passive, and I think the design process took about 2 years, and then 18 months to 2 years, and then the build in the end took a bit more than a year from cutting the ground to moving in.
We managed to avoid all the COVID costs as well, though, luckily.
Wow.
We were just in the right time, but we did have to change our cladding. We were planning on having ironbark, but it just wasn't possible to get it, so we ended up having to have spotted gum instead.
These are designed for the height of summer, which we haven't seen yet, but I believe the designers sort of worked out the sun angles, and they should protect the windows from the sun in the height of summer and reduce some of the heat coming in there. The big windows face south for the view, so the hallways on the north with the big windows with the for the sun. So what I would have liked to consider if we could go back in time would be to have a thermal mass in the hallway, like a brick wall in there that would absorb the sun coming in and then be able to release that heat in the evenings. So yeah, probably the only major consideration of change I would make at this point. Yeah, it's been brilliant. It was a bit of a learning curve the first week or two. The power, I think we were 2 days in when the power just totally cut out, which we weren't expecting. It turned out the battery in the generator was dead and the diesel was empty, so that was definitely a learning point for us to always be making sure we're on top of that. But now it's brilliant. It's we don't feel guilty for running the heating or anything, and obviously at the moment when energy prices are a big concern for everyone, we're not having to worry about that. Apps on our phones to monitor the battery level. We can see what we're generating, what we're using, and what the battery is at. So that's a really good way of learning, and you sort of learn what each appliance uses and the best time of day to run it. Or you might look at it and say, I'll run the washing a bit later when the battery's full, or we're totally full now, so I'll may as well turn everything on, use the washing machine, use the dishwasher, turn the heating on while the batteries are totally full. So yeah, it's watching it is a really good way to learn.